Tasha Hutcherson.
Yes.
Thanks for talking to me today.
An ungodly long name.
No, you're good. Thanks for talking to me. I always like to start off at childhood, just the foundation of who we're all going to become one day. Mm-hmm. So tell me about you growing up.
I am the youngest of three. A lot of my childhood was surprisingly not spent at home. Two parents, middle income, working family. So a lot of my time was spent like at my aunt's house or with my grandma, or, we're really only home for like homework and go to bed for a lot of my childhood.
Just because everyone was working?
Yeah.
So what are your relationships like with your grandma and your aunt?
Well, my grandma passed away in 2009. So up until then was a great relationship. She was from New York, so she was one of those people who was just very loud about everything all the time. And I think that, definitely got passed down. Definitely got passed down in the family. I'm loud about everything all the time, too. My aunt, a little more distant these days, but that's more religious views than anything. I still go and see her. We still talk here and there, but not as close as we used to be.
Is your family from New York originally?
Well, that's where it gets entertaining. My mom's family's from New York. She was born on Long Island. They moved here when my mom was 7 or 9. They lived here ever since. My bio dad's family is from Texas. El Paso, I believe. He was born in El Paso. And then they also moved here.
Are you close to your parents?
As close as you can be when you're self-aware, I think everybody, whether they want to admit it or not, everybody has family trauma. And I have a increasingly complicated relationship with my parents. But, at the end of the day, they're my parents. They did what they could with the information they had and that way they were raised, and I can't fault them for that, So there's grace, but there's tension.
Everyone lives here?
Yep. Everybody's here. Well, everybody aside from my oldest sister, she skedaddled. Yeah, so she's in East Texas.
So you're born and raised in New Mexico?
Yep.
What's so cool about this place?
Oh my God, nothing. Nothing and everything. Growing up here was very boring. Like I said, I grew up about 15 miles south of here. And middle of nowhere, nothing to do, nowhere to go. Very boring childhood, nothing exciting. And then even growing up and having that freedom and driving myself around and doing, even then I'm just like, but there's nothing to do. Like there's, our biggest attraction here is that we have our own Walmart. Like it's a small town. But plenty of places like outdoorsy things, plenty of hiking trails, camping spots. The nearest lake is 2 hours away. Not even really 2 hours it's like an hour and a half away. So, plenty of stuff to do, but like also nothing to do. Like, so I think this place is attractive for its scenery and what it has to offer on that scale. There's a lot of history here, geographically speaking. So there's a lot of things that draw people here for that reason, I feel. But I've moved around a lot in my adulthood. Like, I moved out to the East Coast with my sister for a little while. I moved out to the West Coast, and I always just come back. And I think it's just because coming back here is comfortable and familiar. But like, I'm always like wanting to go somewhere else. I'm always wanting to leave. And they always come back. Yeah.
Aliens?
I'm not crazy. Right? Listen, I'm not crazy, okay? I have seen some weird things that I can't explain. And some literally in my backyard, like just right up the hill over here, like weird encounters of things that you just like, what the hell was that? You don't make sense of it, but it's hard to ignore it, like especially when you have had that experience. Like me and a friend of mine, we drove up, like if you go up this street here, there's just like, it kind of trails off into like dirt tracks. And we kind of, you can get almost all the way up to the mountainside from here on those little trails. And we just kind of like drove off for a few minutes, just kind of getting out of the town, hanging out there, having a couple of beers, and just out of nowhere we see this huge bright light from like back from on the mountainside. It's way up there. You can tell there's a good distance between us and it. And like we're talking about it, and as we start talking about it, it kind of slowly comes closer, and then just shoots over us and then is gone. And I was like, we're going back to the house. Nope, it is 2 a.m. I'm out of here. Like, I'm not here for that. And so like things like that, and a lot of people that I'm friends with that also grew up here, like they have similar stories of things like just weird shit happening. And I'm just like, oh, I'm not going to deny it, but I'm also like, you can't explain it, you know?
What did the light look like?
What did what?
What did the light look like?
It almost looked like when you see a street light from a distance, like you have that like, you know, like the just shots of light going out everywhere. It kind of looked like that, and it almost looked like maybe an airplane, but like it was just the one singular light. And I just, the speed at which it came that way and then just shot off, I was just like...
How fast?
Have
you ever seen anything that
instantly fast? Because like when we were watching the light, you know, when it was closer toward the mountainside, I was thinking like, okay, maybe it's like somebody has a drone or something, you know? And even that, for it to be that far out and look as far away as it did and then just instantly be right on top of us, I was like, there's no freaking way that was a drone. Like, there's no way, you know what I mean? And the light, like, was, you know, at a distance, super tiny, up close, probably the size of, like, a light bulb. So I was like, what? Like, what even was that?
Very bright.
Yeah.
And, like, the fastest thing you've ever seen?
Yeah, just, like within a second or two was just from way over there to, like, right on top of us and then gone. I was like, we're going back. We're going back to the house right now. I don't want to be out here. Like, it's dark.
When was that?
Oh, geez, years. This was 2013.
Wow. So over 10 years ago.
Yeah. And at the time, hilariously, we were living just up the street and around the corner from this house.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. Super, super interesting.
Super, yeah.
A
lot of weird encounters.
Yeah. How do you think that's like?
Yeah.
How do you think that affected you?
It just, I mean.
Like living here, like seeing those things.
I have always kind of grown up with a like spiritual awareness. Like I'm not like in a fanatic way of like ghosts are real, aliens are real, Bigfoot, fucking whatever. But like there are things that happen that you just don't have an explanation for at all. You know, science or otherwise. And you know, I've lost a lot of family members from a young age. And presences and familiarity, you know, energy, whatever you want to call it, like that's always been around me my whole life, you know. And so like, do I believe in the afterlife? Do I believe in ghosts? To an extent, yes, because I feel it a lot, you know. And having the history that this state and the area obviously that we're in has, there's no way that the spiritual energy from like all of that doesn't attribute to the things that happen around here, you know. Weird noises, weird sightings, you know, just a bunch of different, everything just kind of, the energy builds, and depending on how open you are to noticing it, you know what I mean, I think has a big role to play.
What kind of noises?
Oh god, weird, like, I don't know if you've like ever like watched any like documentaries or like done any research on like skinwalkers. Just saying that is gonna get me shunned off the internet. But like that culture is very heavy here, because that is part of the like the local native culture, and so a lot of the noises you'll hear can be attributed to like the local wildlife. Like we have a high population of coyotes here. They make very interesting noises, you know what I mean? Same thing with like foxes or raccoons, like the not noises that people would necessarily think belong to those creatures. And then you hear something that just sends chills down your spine. Like that was not any kind of animal I've ever heard, you know what I mean? And so like I've had experiences living out at my, you know, at my parents' house. Like like a whistle and a howl at the same time. And it's just piercing. And you're like, what the fuck could he have even made that sound? So, and I'm a firm believer in I'm white, but I'm not that white, and we are not exploring, and we are fucking going back home. Like, I don't play that game.
Have you ever heard what a death whistle sounds like?
No.
I'll show you afterwards. I'm interested to hear if you think it sounds similar or not.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned raccoons.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like a good place to go to Trash Panda.
Trash Panda.
Tell me about Trash Panda.
Oh my gosh, Trash Panda is. I would like to think that my Twitch persona is like an alter ego, but it's not. We're the same person. I don't shut up about anything. I'm loud. I like to laugh, and Twitch was never on my radar before I met Oscar. I didn't even know it existed. You know what I mean? Didn't know what it was, didn't know anything like that. And so when me and Oscar had met and we were, we got to getting closer and being friends and everything, he introduced me to a friend of his and was like, she streams on YouTube, would you mind helping me support her? All you have to do is just hang out and chat with her. And I'm like, okay. And it just took off from there. We would go hang out during her streams, talk to her, keep her company, and then she decided she was going to move from YouTube to Twitch. And then it really just took off from there. And I was like, people do this all the time? And of course, this wasn't like an ambition of mine, but like, this is cool. Like, this is amazing. This is something I've never laid eyes on. You know what I mean? Playing video games for a living, that's crazy. And then of course, Oscar decided, hey, I want to do this. And I was like, I have your back. We'll figure it out. From day one. And it's always been for him. Always. I've always been there for him, always helped him with everything, done all the research, learned all the things. And I never really had the ambition to do it myself, because I'm like, I'm not a good public speaker. I get awkward. I get loud, and then I get quiet, and then I get awkward. But probably about 6 months after he started streaming, he was like, you have to. Look at all these people. You already know everyone, and everybody's just everybody's going to keep, you have to at least try it. And I was like, fine. If you insist, So then I spent a week Googling, because at the time when I started streaming, I just had an old Xbox One. And
VCR.
Yeah, and so I was just like, I don't even know if I can. I don't know how it works. I don't know what to expect. With streaming from PlayStation, you have the option of having your chat pulled up right next to your gameplay, and you don't miss anything. Xbox doesn't have that. So I was like, how am I going to see my chat? How am I going to interact? What all do I need? So I did a deep dive. My anxiety made me very well prepared. And yeah, man, I streamed 3 or 4 times, and it was like, hey, you got affiliate. And I was like, huh? Because at that point, the cult had been up and running for probably 4 months by the time I decided to start streaming. But prior to that, obviously, we were in other communities, making connections, talking to people, so by the time I decided to start streaming, I already had more than enough followers for affiliate. We just needed the views. And the very first stream I ever had, Oscar rated me with 30 people. And I was like, oh my God, there's people here. I have to talk to you. And I still feel that way sometimes. When I stream now, I don't have my views on. I don't have anything. I don't want to know who's in my chat. I don't want to know how many people are there. Whoever's talking, I will speak to you. And other than that, I don't want to know, because there's a delicate balance between being nervous about how many people are in there and also kind of being discouraged by how many people aren't in there, and so I'm just I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I just want to sit here and play my games and have conversations.
There's a bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about there.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll start. How'd you meet Oscar?
Oh, God. Do I have to divulge this? I met Oscar on Facebook. I met him in a group on Facebook. So I run a kink friendly group on Facebook. That's where we met. And it was very sweet. We do posts once a week for Selfie Saturday, because everybody likes showing pictures of themselves. Obviously, Facebook standards is like, no nudity, no XYZ, but everybody likes to show off and they like attention and whatever. So that's actually how I met him. He posted a picture and I was like, that guy is very handsome. And I commented under his post and was like, hey, I like your tattoos. Blah, blah, blah. We ended up talking under that post for a little while. And then somebody was like, get a room. And so we just started DMing each other from there.
Sick. And the cult was already an idea?
No.
In his mind? Okay.
Not even, yeah.
So, because, so we talked about this off camera, but I'm going to say it on camera. Like, as I was going through this whole thing, and I kept talking about him and the cult, and obviously that was, like, the genesis of this trip, but every person kept being like, well, and Tash also, like, you can't not say Tash. And, so, and I literally said to one person, I'm like, am I fucking up not? Because we had already planned to come here, obviously,
right.
But, like, the context changed a lot for me when everyone kept being like, no, this is, like, the yin and yang of this whole thing.
Right.
Like, so, okay, how does it because I didn't even necessarily get into that with Oscar. It just didn't seem like it just wasn't part of the thing, you know what I mean? But
right.
Like, so how did this thing start?
So, well, like I said, he was helping his friend who was transitioning from YouTube to Twitch. Shortly after we were kind of helping her set up her whole situation, I think he either lost his job or quit his job where he was working at and was kind of like in between starting dates. And he was like, well, like, we've been helping her out so much with this. Like, we've, like, figured out how Twitch kind of works. Like, maybe I should try streaming. And I was like, whatever you want to do, I'm here for. I'll support you. Let's do it. Like, you have the charisma. You have the personality. Like, you are very great at connecting to people. Like, this is something you could absolutely do, And then, of course, he kind of had an interest in it prior to that, but I feel like that was kind of the last, like, kick in the pants to, like, yeah, go ahead and do it, because he had the motivation prior with his, his late cousin being a Facebook streamer, 90,000 followers, you know what I mean? And so I think, like, that was something he was like, oh, this is cool, it happened, it existed, but I think the actual motivation to to actually do it came later. And
then the cult comes in. The cult starts streaming.
Yes, so he started streaming in May.
May what year?
What year are we in now? 2021, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what I said. Yeah.
I'm like, what year are we in right now? I don't even exist. I don't even exist. Time is a construct. So he started streaming in May. I did create the cult as it was. The original name was Hell's Kitchen. But like I said, we created the server and then it just kind of sat there because we were in other communities, like Trippy Hippie Mamas. She's Discord Lord. There's an ongoing joke of us OGs of that. She's the Discord Lord because she was the one who kind of started our rolling and getting the cult to be what it is. She had her community. We kind of like fucked around in there. And, eventually, like Oscar said, he kind of got that jolt of inspiration of like, we do need to absolutely make our own space and do our own thing. And he was like, let me have the Discord server. Let me do what I got to do to it. And just kind of took off from there. But that wasn't until September. And he had started in May. So there was that whole time there of just that server just sitting there and just like existing and not doing anything.
I had it described to me as like Oscar's the heart of the cult, and you're the veins.
Yeah.
And I thought the person was actually going to say like you were like the skeleton or something. I'm like, oh yeah, you hold the whole thing up. But like when they said the veins, I'm like, wow, it's so like beautiful in a way because they're so connected. But then they have these like they can't exist without each other. You know what I mean? Like the heart is so important, but if the blood can't get everywhere, then like what? What is it?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's very sweet and pretty spot on, honestly, because like, and he and I, Oscar and I have this conversation a lot of like, well, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing without you. Well, no, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing without you. Like, and it's a back and forth between us of like, no, you're the important one, like, and then the reality is that like it wouldn't, the cult would not exist the way that it does without both of us. And we more recently had a conversation, with Oscar's mental health, the way that it gets, he was like second guessing everything. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? And he's like, I'm just gonna hand you the Discord back, and like, I'm just gonna step away. I'm gonna delete everything. I'm like, take a breath. I said, this Discord server does not exist without you. It doesn't. As many friends as I have in there, and as much as I do in there, like, the reality is the majority of our community is there for him. They came for him. They are there for him. I said, so the minute that you are no longer a part of the cult ceases to exist. It's just another server at that point. So many people, I feel, would just walk away. You know what I mean? And like, I had to like kind of talk him down from that moment. And then I was like, I understand where your head is at. I know you're stressed. You're under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things on your plate right now. Discord does not need to be one of them. That's what you have me for. So just give me all of this information that you're stressed about, and go deal with everything else. Like, the Discord is fine. I got it. And I think what kind of triggered that was like me telling him that, like, hey, I need a little bit of a break. You know what I mean? So like, I'm stepping away from the Discord for a couple of days, just so you know. And I think that kind of like triggered a panic of like, oh my God, I have to do all these things. And I'm like, no, you don't. You really don't. But like, I'm going to take a couple of days, and that's what I told him. I was like, you could delete your Discord right now, leave the server, do whatever, and nothing would function the way that it does. Like, it just wouldn't. Once people knew you were no longer in the server, like, the community would not be what it is.
Describe the cult to someone who doesn't know anything about it. Oh my gosh.
I do this a lot, and because part of my job is recruitment, getting people to come check us out. And every single time I'm like, I know I'm going to sound like a bot right now, but please just hear me out. Because, it is typically chat to streamer interaction, or hey, can I send you a whisper or whatever? But I just tell people, we started very small, less than 20 people, just us out there picking people up and showing them love and getting them attention and things like that. And like, nowadays, when I'm like, hey, I run a Discord community, we heavily focus on friends. If you're looking for people that play these games, we have a ton of people in here interested in that, blah, blah, blah. We also do Twitch support, We can get new eyes on you. You get to meet, and I try not to tell people how many people are in the server, because like that, for a lot of people, that's a turnoff. They're like, holy crap, like 500 members, like, So I'm just like, hey, it's a big server. No pressure, feel free to mute the damn thing. I have it muted on all mine. I don't even have my notifications on, and I run the damn thing, So I'm like, feel free to mute the server. Come and look at it when you have an opportunity, when you're not overwhelmed, like, you know what I mean? And I do like forewarn people, like, it is consistent. If the cult is anything, it is consistent. Somebody is yapping at some point, posting something, asking questions, doing something, you know what I mean? Even, we kind of go through these like fluctuations of like high volume voice chat hangouts. And for a lot of people, they would rather just come and hang out in a VC than to try to like keep track of everything that goes on in the server. So like, I always warn people, like, yes, this is very comfortable, cozy, homey area to come meet new people, come gain some support for your streams and learn how to do what we're doing. But like, also, it's busy. There's a lot of activity. I don't expect you to just jump right in, but like, come in, look around, take your time, It's not a rush. It's really not, we're not going anywhere. And we've had people leave the community for, like IRL things, like I have too much going on, I just can't commit to this, and that's absolutely fine. And I tell people every time, you know where to find us. We're not going anywhere. We are not going anywhere.
One of the things I always find like super interesting, and I mentioned this to Oscar too, but so you call yourself a cult, which immediately there's like,
yes, there's
right?
implications.
Immediately, and even before I met him, right? Because I'm like, hey, let me just like chat with this guy a little bit and like just feel this out. Because like I said, I was very interested, but like there's like spectrum of interest where I'm like, I'm interested in him, like, he seems really interesting, but also, like, we all mask, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, what is the
everybody masks.
Let me poke at this, let me poke at this and see, because, like, he's calling this thing a cult.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says exactly the same kind of thing that you say, where it's like, oh yeah, we teach people, like, we're happy people to, like, take this stuff and, like, go. And I'm like, that's so antithetical.
Right.
Cult,
it's literally
right?
not, but
it's literally the exact opposite of, like, yeah, in a cult they'd be like, oh, we guard the secrets and, like, you gotta do all these things.
Right.
And there's levels in the server, but that doesn't, like, limit your ability to learn things, to gain knowledge, and, like you said, to leave also.
Yeah.
How do you equal those two things out in your mind? You know what I mean? Like the naming and the...
Well, and I tell people this a lot. When I will reach out to somebody that I'm like, okay, they fit the vibe. We've had so many people come in and just be giant asses. You know what I mean? Just like very money focused or very viewer focused, and not really. And we, when we started this, it was like instantly from day one, me and Oscar were like, this does not work without connection, without friendships. We've seen, and the friend that had initially brought us to the platform, now ex-friend.
Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about it.
Yeah. Like she was, kind of doing the same thing to an extent, but a lot of the interactions was like very empty, like follow for follow type. And we're like, we know this is not going to work. Like, maintaining this is not going to work like that. So that's something we've always kind of prided ourselves on, in focusing on making connections, making friendships. Because friends want to support their friends. And random strangers on the internet don't really care what the hell you're doing. You know what I mean? I'll drop a follow, there's your number, but, like, I'm not going to ever come back. Like, you know what I mean? So having to, like, force people to, like, not really force people, but, force people to make a connection with people and, find something to bond over. That's what brings people back. And so teaching people how to do that in the beginning was very much like okay, not everybody is meant to stream. Because it's really, like, it takes a good, like, hard look at yourself to be like, okay, these are the things I need to change in order to get people to stay or get people to come back or get people to come check me out. And we were so, and I myself am still a little bit jaded, just a little bit, but we were so uptight about it that it was just like people who were not necessarily open to feedback or criticism. We were just like, okay, well, we tried and they didn't want to do the things. And so, like, and that really kind of breeded the era of like, not everybody's meant to stream. And then, over time and changing our tactics, changing our verbiage and vocabulary. And it was just like, okay, so not everybody is meant to stream, but everybody can be taught. You can be given advice, you can be shown different ways of approach, like things like that. So that's where, like, the buddy Baphomet system came up, of like having somebody come and sit in on your streams, actively listening and paying attention to what you're doing and how you interact with your chat, and being able to give you genuine feedback on it, and not just being like, here's some generalized information about streaming that anybody can fucking apply. Good luck, figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, if you're actually in there and watching somebody stream and seeing, are they actively paying attention to their chat? Are they responding? Are they just kind of reading the message and going, yeah, okay? Like, are they welcoming people in when they get a raid or when somebody follows? Are they actively engaging with their chat in hopes that their chat engages back? And, like, having that feedback to give to somebody of like, hey, I noticed that when this happened in your stream today, like, you did this and this would probably be better next time. Or, hey, you did that and that was a really fucking great job, but next time do a little bit more or do it a little bit differently. Like, and people don't realize how much engagement goes into just keeping, like, maintaining an audience of, like, people don't come to Twitch to, well, some people do, don't get me wrong, some people do. People don't come to Twitch to just watch you play a game. They come to make a connection. They want to feel seen and respected, and you know what I mean, and, like, I matter. So teaching people how to connect a little bit better, a little bit differently with their audience, other than just like, hey man, how's your day? Like, you know, like Oscar says, learning something, one thing about anyone in your chat, and just remembering that one thing that you can bring up. It makes them feel like they matter, like they are seen.
Why Baphomet?
Why Baphomet? I think we really like the cult was always just an aesthetic. And so we really just kind of dove in on the Satanism. We were just like, you know what? Yeah. Because like, that's what they're going to see when they hear about a cult. Let's just feed into it.
And again, even though it's so different.
It's, yeah, completely opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. But I like that.
It's the nicest cult you'll ever be in.
Yeah. No, I like that, though. I think that's good. So, Oscar, Twitch, then the Discord, and then you said 6 months after he starts is when he's like, you gotta do this too.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it kind of came off as like you have to try this, you have to do it. Sure. But it was more of like, you really should.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, this would be, you know, and again, I've been a stay-at-home mom for 5 years now. He was like, you already do all of these things in the community. Everyone already knows you. And, like, this is just another opportunity for you to, like, put yourself out there, potentially make some money, you know, make new friends, do something while you're just chilling at home, you know? And I was like, yeah, you're right. Okay, fine. Like, you know. And even to this day, I mean, I've been streaming for going on 3 years now. It'll be 3 years in October. I'm just like, I still don't have a goal for this. Like, I'm not like, I want to make, you know, 2,000 followers by the end of this year, and I want, you know, I want to try to get this many subs, and I want to do, and I'm just like, I'm just existing on the internet, bro. I don't know. Like, I'm just here.
And it's like not easy to make money.
Yeah, no,
like, you can make like a little money anyway, right? Mm-hmm. Like little money, but like even talking to Sid, and he's going for partner, mm-hmm. and we chatted about that, and it's like the reality of making money on Twitch is like a lot of money. Like,
yeah.
Like you know, enough money that you're like, this is my job.
Yeah.
Is statistically unlikely. Like,
yeah.
It's very,
very unlikely.
And so then, because he said something really interesting, and I don't know what you think of this, but like that initial thought when you hear about Twitch and you're like, why would I watch someone play video games?
Right.
And it's like this weird thing that you, because like I felt the exact same way, and then it's this weird thing that you unlock, I guess, at some point when you realize, like you said, it's like, it's not about the numbers or the money, it's about the connection.
Yeah.
Like being able to, and like that is where we like have felt incredibly blessed, where like our experience has been so positive. And like a lot of people that we've come across, not that there's never negative things, but overall it does seem like this weird like, it's like the internet's such a toxic place, right?
Yes.
In general, I'm like, everyone is hyper aware of that, I would say, and it's not becoming less toxic.
It's definitely not becoming less toxic.
Yeah. But then yeah, Twitch exists in this weird space where it's like, I don't know,
for the most part.
Yeah, it's actually better.
Yeah.
Seemingly, do you agree with this?
I do. Yeah, I do. And like I in the earlier years of us doing the Twitch thing, there were a lot more trolls. I feel like just kind of the ones that would just kind of bounce in, talk some smack, and then bounce out. You know. And that was when Oscar was like, "Now let them talk. Let them talk. They're gonna leave in a minute anyway. Just let them talk." You know. And so I was just like, "Fine." Fine, I won't be your big bad guard dog and ban them, whatever, you know? So, but, and now, which is weird, you would think, because with the growth, you know, you would think comes more attention and that kind of stuff. We actually do get, like, significantly less troll activity. And, like, you get the bot spams that are like, oh, best viewers here, and, like, things like that, but, like, even that is not...
Feels like it's getting less too.
Yeah,
I'm seeing less bots.
There's less, and then like, I've noticed that like you don't get those like best viewer bot things if you're not affiliate. They don't come in as much. Like you'll see them still, but they don't come in as often. And then like I used to tell people like, oh, you're a big time streamer now. The bots are over here. Like that's how you know you made it. You know, like you have the best viewer bots now. But yeah, with the growth, and I think even. I don't know how deep Oscar went into, like, the lore of the cult, but, like, even with the falling out of other communities that we've had in the past, like that, somehow that negativity does not circulate. Like it just, once they decide that they're out and they want to leave, there they go, there's the door, cool, and then it's gone. We don't, we don't hear about it, we don't know about it, we don't, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's almost like it really is a cult. Like, people leave and they're just like, for all intents and purposes, forgotten about, and they never existed, and it's whatever, and then it's just us and our little circle of people. Like, it's the weirdest thing. And like, recently we've had some like, undertones of potential drama with people who have left, being upset that a mutual friend was still part of our community, actively part of our community. And they're like, well, we had that experience with them. Like, why are you still friends with them, kind of thing? And like, kind of being a dick to that person about it for being friends with us. And I'm like, why do you care? You're not even here. Like, we don't talk to you. We don't talk about you. We don't things happened the way that they did. We went our separate ways, and yet you're still holding a grudge, and we don't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just so... Little things like that happen here and there, but like the vast majority of it, like the toxicity is just, I think because we're so vigilant about vetting people, it just doesn't permeate. You know what I mean? It's not here.
Does that lead to like a lack of different voice? So in terms of like, okay, someone may disagree with you guys, something that you're doing fundamentally, I don't know what it would be about, but, and they leave, does this like lead to like an echo chamber, like, do you find, where it's like people don't have an ability to say like, actually I disagree with this?
No, not really, because, excuse me, I've had this conversation with Oscar, because with the BPD, any kind of like perceived rejection, it kind of leads to like a spiral for him sometimes. And we have this conversation a lot where, like, people are allowed to have different opinions. They can disagree with you and still respect you, still have a solid friendship and things like that. Because he kind of gets these moments where it's just like, well, they disagreed with me, so like they're mad at me. And I'm like, no, like they're just, people have different opinions and different views, and everything will be okay, And so we do have, and our mod team is not as diverse as I would like it to be. A couple of our mods had to kind of take a step back because of life things. So we have a smaller mod team right now. But like between me and Defiant Siren, like we are not hesitant to be like, no, I don't like that. Or like, I think we should do it differently. Or we should, you know what I mean? We're not hesitant to kind of like put it out there like, I don't agree with that, And in the past, there have been some yes men. And I told Oscar, like, when I came back, like, I will support your decisions. That doesn't mean I agree with it. You know what I mean? And ultimately, at the end of the day, it boils down to him and I. And so anything that happens at the mod table of, like, hey, this is a decision that needs to be made, at the end of the day, it's on him and I. And at the end of the day, I'm like, tell me why you think so, or tell me why you think not, and we can discuss it. And then we'll make a decision. You know what I mean? So there have been a lot of yes men in the past of just like, whatever Oscar wants, he gets. However he wants to do things, we support it. And I'm just like, no. No. If I don't agree with it, I don't agree with it, and we can talk about it, But I think we have a lot more diverse people on our side right now, at our little mod table, that are willing to be wrong, or to disagree, to and not afraid of like. And I think that was the mentality for a while, like back in the day, of like, it's Oscar's server, what Oscar says goes. And again, I think that's where the yes men kind of came in, of like, because if I say no, he might ban me. Like, no, he wouldn't. But they don't know that. You know what I mean? Because they don't know him like that, So I think that's kind of where that mentality kind of, because I feel like we grew so quickly in the beginning that it was just like there was a lot of hype about it. Like there were times, and it still kind of is that way now, but there were times where I would like jump into a stream that I had never been in before. And they were like, oh my God, Trash Panda's here. And I'm like, how do you even know me? Who are you? Like, what is happening? And so like, I think that's kind of where that idea kind of came from, of just like, give Oscar what he wants, let him do what he wants, it's his thing. Like, if you go against him, he's going to be mad. And he's never been that guy, you know? So I'm just like, okay, interesting take.
It's always been Dead by Daylight? You play anything else before
Oh
that?
my god, no. I think my first stream was Fortnite. I was terrible. So, like, you know, being lower middle class growing up, like, we didn't have, I think I had the original PlayStation was the only, like, upgraded console I ever owned until mid-20s when I bought my first Xbox. So I was never really big into video gaming, you know, and then I just had this FOMO, and I was just like, look at all this fun these guys are having, and I don't have, like, a console or anything. I can't play with them. And so my sister had updated her consoles, and she was like, hey, like, we still have this one and it works just fine. Like, do you want it? And I'm like, please, I'm poor. I don't want to have to buy a console. So that's where I kind of was just like, I got the console to play games because I just like, you guys look like you're having fun and I want to have fun, you know? And then that turned into like, oh, hey, by the way, you can stream off of that console. And I was like, oh, okay. Let's figure that out then.
So Fortnite.
Fortnite. Fortnite, Dead by Daylight.
Okay.
And then I was kind of like between those games for a while, and then it was just all Dead by Daylight all the time, forever. All day long. I lived and breathed Dead by Daylight. And I like, there's a nostalgia there, even though it's only been 2 years. There's a nostalgia there of, like, I miss how the game used to be. And, like, the aspect of, like, and there's still more to learn about the game, because they're always adding new characters, new perks, new, you know, maps. So there's always something to learn about it, but I just, like, I feel like the novelty's worn off, and now it's just, like, the underbelly of, like, the community and the toxicity and the way that people behave, and I'm just like, this is a video game. This should not be getting under my skin the way that it does.
I've heard that multiple times, I want to say. And I heard like a demarcation line maybe when they added, like, basically they added Resident Evil content, and apparently that attracted a bunch of new players who didn't. Yeah. And then this has then since ruined the meta of the game, more or less. It goes in waves.
Yeah, it comes and goes. It comes and goes. I feel like in the 2 years I've been playing, I feel like the community really, really started to kind of take a dip more towards, like, the toxic behavior. Right around the time they added Chucky, which was a little over a year ago now. And I was just like, man, like, the way people are playing him, and, like, you know, and of course Chucky was the first killer with third-person POV because he's so tiny. They had to give him that third-person POV. And so, like, the playstyles changed, and, you know, people learning how to play him changed, and, like, and I think a lot of that also kind of contributed to, well, because now I can see what's going on in this perspective, I can do this, that, and whatever. And, you know, just kind of, like, making the game more sweaty than it needs to be, you know? And I think that's what bothers me is, like, yes, to an extent there is competition, because you have, like, it's player versus player kind of thing. There is going to be a competition there, but, like, why am I trying so hard to just do one thing and, like, half my team's already dead a minute into the match? I'm like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Like, I think that level of competitiveness, I think, is what gets to me. Is, like, I'm just like, I'm not here for that. I just want to chill. Like,
what is being on Twitch meant to you since you started?
Since I started, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm not even a blip on the radar sometimes, you know what I mean? And not in the sense of, like, getting attention or anything, but, like, just, like, the span of Twitch, like, with how big the platform is, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even, like, I'm a fly on the wall, you know what I mean? But I think when you put yourself out there, whether it be as a streamer or as a viewer, you are opening yourself up to so many different connections. And I've met so many people through Twitch and Discord also, that, like, otherwise I would have never known of your existence, like you guys, you know what I mean? You're off in another country. I would have never known about you or anything, you know? And, like, seeing the web of connection and just how vast, and it's so crazy because like there's people that I've ran into, you know, have met in games and things, and like, hey, I came in and checked out their Twitch, and then it turns out that they're friends with somebody else that I'm friends with through a different, you know, connection, like had nothing to do with the game that I met this person, but they know this person because of that. And like, I'm just like, what? Like, so we met through this game, and then, you know, the person that I'm friends with met them through a different game, or met them in a different community, or like, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, everybody is just, it's crazy to see just how small each little connection is, and how it really does kind of loop everybody in it at some point.
Yeah, like you mentioned Discord, and I think I said to someone else, but I feel like Discord and Twitch, I didn't say this to them, but I feel like it's like you and Oscar. It's this very like interlinked thing where it's like they don't really exist in as great a way as they currently do without each other.
Right.
Right? Like,
yeah.
It's weird though, because this is two completely separate companies.
Yeah.
They're just like Discord's like, hey, we basically got like message boards and voice chat.
Yeah.
And Twitch is like, hey, we got streaming of video games. But at some point, someone's like, these go together.
Yeah.
And they like feed into each other.
Yes.
It's super.
Yeah, well, because and that's the other thing too, is like I had heard of Discord prior to Twitch. Heard of it, kind of popped in and checked it out, and was like, this isn't really something I need. Like I don't have a use for this. And then here came Twitch, and it was like, oh, we're building a community. You need to have a place for them, and I'm like, okay, how does that work? Well, check out Discord. Okay, well, how does that work? Like when we started the cult, and we like really started growing, like we were flying by the seat of our pants. There was no plan, there was no knowledge. Everything that has been done to the server. I shouldn't say to the community, but everything that's been done to the server, and even like Oscar's Twitch channel specifically, like all of that was just like, we figured it out as we went. I was like up all night Googling this and that and trying to figure out, okay, how does this work for Twitch, and how does this work for Discord, and what do we need to do to add this and that, and just everything, all of this like library of knowledge that I now have has been just from like, oh, we fucked this up, we need to do this different in the future. Like we didn't see this coming as a factor, and now we have to do this. Like and just everything that has been built on that. It's just like, and now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, hey, I've helped 6 or 7 different people like completely build a Discord from scratch to work and function the way that the cult does, without having 250 people by the time you just decide, hey, this is how we want to do it, and then I have to do a complete fucking server overhaul. Like that was frustrating. That was like a week's worth of work that I just kind of crammed into 3 days, and everybody's like, I can't see this channel. What's going on? Half the Discord's gone. I'm like, I'm fixing it. Everything's fine. Nobody panic. Like, it's so, having all that knowledge now, I'm just like, hey, if you want to do X, Y, Z in the way that we have our server set up, do it now while you have 15 people. Don't wait till you have 150 and you want to redo all this shit because it's a pain in the ass. Like, like a lot of people have taken interest in the whole, oh, you have to agree to the rules before you can see the rest of the channels thing. And I was like, the main reason we did that is because we had so many people who kind of just collect servers, and they'll join, never say a word. Never say a fucking word the entire time. You know what I mean? And they're just a ghost in there. And so with that feature built in and having people have to agree to the rules, when you come in and you don't hit that button and you leave the server off of Discord, you switch to a different server. If you don't agree to those rules, it just removes you from the server. You don't come back. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, well, now you don't have just like this little freaking server hanging out in your inventory that you'll never see again. Like, so like, because the ultimate point is we want engagement from the community. We want you guys to engage with us. We want you guys to engage with each other. Like I want you to want to be here. And for a lot of people, like I said before, it's overwhelming. 500 people is overwhelming. But it's also very addicting. And they're like, oh shit. Like this is, the cult is the biggest server I'm in. Like I'm in a handful of other servers that are up and coming, but still, 250, 300 people max. I'm the biggest server. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, That's crazy. Like, that's crazy to me that we went from, and again, only in a matter of a couple of years. Like, and granted, not all 500 members are active, but a good probably third of them are, like, on a weekly basis. Like, whether it's just coming in and, hey, what's up, dropping a meme, dropping a selfie, even if it's just like the bare minimum, like, they are active and they are here and they want to be here.
We're coming towards the end. This has been really good. I always like to let people sort of like pitch a message to the world, to this audience, to whatever. So if you had something that you wanted to tell the world to make it a better place.
To make it a better place.
Or, just something that you want people to know. Like, you got a platform right now.
Don't fucking suck. I don't know. Don't suck. Don't be mean. Says the meanest bitch I know. But yeah, no, I mean, I think what we're doing here is kind of a testament of, like, if you want it to happen, you can absolutely make it happen. You just got to dedicate yourself. And there's even times where I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so tired. But then I'm like, something will happen and it's just like an instant spark. And I'm just like, oh shit, I have so many ideas now. Like, and so it's really a testament of, like, if you want it bad enough, you can make it happen. Even if you don't see the full picture and you just have an idea and just like a tiny little spark, like, you can keep it going. And who knows what you'll end up with,
Tasha Hutcherson, thanks for talking to me today.
Of course. Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.